Come on, son.
Raphael on the track.
Come on, son. Come on, son. Come on, son. What up, y'all? It's Ed Lover with Come On, Son, the podcast. Back again, of course. Every time I do a podcast, my good friend Combat Jack is the overseer of every podcast that I ever do because he's the one that got me into podcasting. Today on the Come On Son podcast, I want to feature somebody that's making a lot of things happen in the city of Chicago. We just did a fantastic event together for Puma. He also has his own clothing line called PHLI, has his own event space. This man is really, really making things happen. I always like to introduce y'all to people who make things happen. Everything that you see in front of you, there's always somebody behind the scenes that really gets things popping off. Like, you may see Jay-Z spit a rhyme or something, you'd be like, oh my God, Jay-Z is so fantastic. Yeah, he is. But there's always Guru that's on the boards. There's always the dude that got to mix the song. There's always the producer that came up with the beats. There's always a whole team behind that person making something happen for them. And the man who makes things happen here in Chicago is my man, Dave Jeff. Jeff, welcome to the show, Dave.
Thank you, man. Welcome, man. So happy to be here, man.
Oh, man, I'm glad to have you. We did an event the other night here in Chicago that was amazing. We did a Puma release for the Puma MTV sneaker. Mm-hmm. How did you get involved with Puma? And you know what, people was getting at me on my social media for saying Puma too.
No.
And I just want y'all to know, if you ever go to Europe,
that's how
you
they
go
say
to
it.
the Puma, and you go to what y'all call the Puma headquarters, they say Puma. That is the proper pronunciation. Puma.
No, I got involved with Puma heavy, man. Honestly, it was a ill layup from Big Bro, from Mr. Emory Jones.
Really?
Yes, sir. Like that's like me and my other man. His name is Fashion Geek Zoe. Are like Emory's Chicago people. You know what I'm saying? We handle a lot of his business. You know, when it comes here, and you know, we're his team when it comes here. And then as they got more in depth and more solidified.
Is this before Puma you met Emory?
Yeah, before Puma. Yeah, way before Puma.
Now, for everybody who don't know who Emory Jones is, Emory Jones is doing what now at Puma? But I'll give him a little bit of Emory's background.
I mean, with the Puma, I mean, what is Emory's title at Puma? I don't know. I mean, he's the man next to the man.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I would say he's the Jay's consigliere.
Okay, now if you listen to...
I'm sure he has a title. I just don't know exactly what the title is.
Yeah, if you listen to Jay-Z's music throughout his career, you've always heard him mention Emory. Mm-hmm. Emory was one of Jay's guys when Jay was hustling in the streets. Emory and Biggs are the money behind Rockefeller. Okay. They're the ones who went in with the $99,000 and some change and put it on the table at Def Jam. Emory did time. Mm-hmm. Emory's not a snitch.
Not at all.
Emory could have brought everybody down, and he didn't. And he did his time, and Jay always vowed to take care of Emory when Emory came home, and take care of Emory he did. And Emory is very smart, very bright, great guy, and is now in a position to do wonderful things. And they've taken on the Puma brand and really kind of reinvented it and put it out there and signed a lot of young artists. G-Herbo, who we did the thing with the other night, A-Boogie with the hoodie, is signed to Puma now.
Meek Mill.
Meek Mill is part of the Puma team too.
Yeah, but that's how we got involved, Pop. Like set us up in a good position to do us, to, as his mantra always is, bet on yourself. For us to continue to keep betting on ourselves and doing what we do in our own city. And outside the city.
Were you born here in Chicago?
Born here, born and raised.
Where at?
Southside. I always say I'm conceived in Chatham because that's where my family's from. But born and raised in Hyde Park.
What is this thing with the South Side and the West Side, bro? I don't get it, man.
What you mean?
Chicago got this thing with the South Side and the West Side.
The West Side. Mm-hmm.
What is that?
I mean, the South Side is. I mean, it's different. Like I hate to say it. Like
what's to you is your opinion? What's the difference between the South Side, Chicago, and the West Side? I get love on both sides.
I mean, I get love on both sides too. I mean, I think it's more so like style. I guess you know what I'm saying. Like it's this thing that you know how black people are. I hate to say that, but how we do each other. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? One is supposed to be better, or you guys are country over there, or whatever. I just think it's just different mindsets on different sides of the city, and different attitudes.
Would you say the West Side is rougher than the South Side?
All day long.
Really?
I give it to him. I give it to him. Like it's just it's a whole.
I mean, I'm not saying that as a badge of honor.
No, and not as a badge of honor too. I'm just saying it's just like it's almost like, you know, energy wise too. When you cross a certain thing, it's a different whole different vibe, whole different feeling when you cross a certain street.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I'll be over there on Pulaski sometime going into them stores, tops and bottoms and all of that. Yeah, and Madison, Pulaski in the west side of Chicago. And I got to admit, they show a whole lot of love, but I've never really, I think I've hung out one time on the west side, but I'll do a lot more hanging out on the south side. Because it just seems like there's more places to party and just hang out and vibe.
In the event prior to what we did in the space the other day was talking about reform.
Okay.
And so I had Aisha Jacko, who's Lupe Fiasco's sister, and they're from over there, and she spoke to that just about how the disinvestment in those areas. So just like you're saying, it's not really a lot of places to eat healthy outside of babas and things like that. You know, whatever. It's not the healthier choices. It's definitely not places to entertain and be entertained without the roughness. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
On the west side. And that's just, I think, the stigma that the west side has. And just because the south side is, we have, different parts of the south side too. I mean, south side gets wild, the hundreds get wild,
Sure do.
Over east, out south is wild or whatever. I mean,
that's over there where G-Herbo is from.
Yeah, over there. That's a whole nother beast too.
Right.
Yeah.
What they call it, Terror City?
Used to be
Terror
Town. Yeah.
Terror Town.
Yeah. Terror Town. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, what part of the South Side did you grow up on?
I grew up in Hyde Park.
Okay.
I grew up in Hyde Park. I call it South Side by the Lake. You know what I'm saying? Like that was just a thing that my mother was on. Pop, because supposedly Hyde Park is supposed to be this affluent place. You know what I'm saying? It's art, it's culture, it's the water, the water itself. Like, so that's just me and the love of the water, the peace. That's
right.
Whatever. So yeah, that's where I'm from, Pop. That's where I'm from.
South Side by the Lake. What was your first entry into the entertainment business? What was the first thing that you did?
Pop, I danced in the Michael Jackson video.
No way, dude.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Which video?
In Jam.
How did that come about for you?
It's part of a crew of anybody. Like, if you can go way back into Chicago history and hip hop, you gotta understand Chicago is a house city.
Yes, so, absolutely. Right. I totally
so
understand that.
So it wasn't. So the clubs at the time. The clubs were different. Like, I was in the clubs at 16, 17 years old. You can't do that now. It's 21 or whatever.
Right.
But the people that I was always the younger guy around the older guys. So I hung with the Terry Hunters and the Ferrises back then or whatever. But if you're familiar with Twilight Tone and I and a whole bunch of a group of other people, we had this crew called Dim Dare, right?
Okay.
And so Tone was the DJ. This very artistic brother named Reg Knock was the creative on the flyers, and this other dude named Bacon was the business. He was the promoter. And then you had dancers, hip hop,
right,
and everything. And so Tone is from Hyde Park too, and so I was just his little brother from that whole piece. But that's how we got in the clubs, through his whole piece there. And then that was the hip hop thing and the dancing, breakdancing, whatever. And so we got called to do some audition. Or whatever, because somebody had came to the parties and we auditioned, and me, myself, and two other guys from the crew, we got the part in the video. So
tell me about that experience, bro.
It was the.
Where did you shoot it at?
It was on the west side at an old armory. It's not there anymore.
Michael Jackson came to the west side.
West side. It was at an armory on Madison and something. Madison. It was Madison. I forgot exactly where, but it was an armory, but it was abandoned. And so it's not there anymore. They got condos there now. But I mean, probably was a great experience. It was on spring break of my junior year of high school, sophomore year of high school.
What was the security like?
Oh,
rolling up there to dance and
like crazy. I mean, it was great for me because it was my first paid gig.
Do you remember how much you were paid?
$7,000. It was a check.
Wow.
Yes, $6,800, something like that. But that whole experience opened my eyes, yo. opened my eyes to the game. Like, yeah, Mike is Mike, but it's 50 other people in here moving and shaking and doing it. And right then and there, I knew I wasn't going to have a regular job.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? No, like, no diss to nobody with a regular job, but I'm just saying, I just saw something there that was just like, man, you know what I'm saying? So outside of me seeing my guys hustle and do this, that, and the other, I'm like, oh, this is that. And then when I got the check, I'm like, oh, this works.
Right. This is how these things work. Like, there's all of these people around that's helping facilitate this one goal and this one idea.
This one thing, and we were there for, I was on set probably like 4 days.
Wow.
For like 4 days. So, I mean, it was a great experience. And then in
your first time meeting Michael Jackson?
First time. I mean, and it wasn't really like he really didn't kick it with us.
No?
Right. He really didn't kick it with us. Like I want to say, Pop, like, not even going into the this whole thing or whatever. I want to say one of them young boys was there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. From Surviving Neverland.
Right. One, because it was a younger dude, a younger white guy there, and then another guy from Chicago. That was a dancer too, who was one of the extras in the thing. They were there with them, and I mean, so they were there, and then we were in our piece. We saw them like once on set, like that whole time. It was a handshake, and that was that, whatever. But
right.
It wasn't that. He didn't.
Were you directly behind Michael, or did y'all shoot like scenes separate?
We had a scene, like, so I'm in the scene, the beginning of the video where the kids are running.
Yeah.
I have like on a long sleeve maroon shirt. And then it was on the set when we were playing basketball.
Okay.
And so we're dancing. So you see me spinning a couple of times, little moves or whatever. And it was like little different pieces. So we weren't directly like Mike and right behind us, because that wasn't what the video was.
Right.
Right.
So that had to be a hell of an experience, though.
Yeah. But then probably like I came up with Common. Because Common's DJ, Twilight Tone was Common's DJ,
right,
and producer at the time.
Shout out to Lonnie.
Yeah, Mr. Lynn. And that whole pacing, and like, Pop, that was a great experience too, because we rehearsed sometimes in my crib, we rehearsed at Derek's crib. Just being part of that whole thing, looking back at it now, and then I interned for Relativity.
Really?
Right. So I was an intern for Relativity. So some of the first projects that I worked on, like in street promo and that whole thing, was Fat Joe's first album.
Okay.
PHLI.
Okay.
Rough House Survivors.
Okay.
That whole piece. I was there when Easy came to Relativity.
Oh, wow.
That whole Ruthless.
Yes.
Piece. So when he brought Bone Thugs and Harmony, and that whole piece. So I was there in the little bitty office. My $200 a week, or $200 every 2 weeks was the intern thing. Me getting on the train,
right,
coming from Hyde Park, going all the way out to Rosemont. You know what I'm saying? Bus, just to go get it, to be involved with this industry.
Right.
Like the person.
How long were you at Relativity?
2-3 years. Like Common's whole first album going into the second album.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you was already gone from Relativity by the time me and Dre dropped our album on Relativity.
Probably so then.
Yeah.
Probably so.
Yeah.
So this was like at the beginning. It was Paul Bebo.
Okay.
And isn't the dude that ran Relativity at the time? He ran E-Music, right? Or
he has it now.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how long I've been in hip hop. Like since way back then. Like I am so just man to even be in your presence and talk to you about it and go through the thing with you, just because, Pop, you are the culture. Just when we were talking earlier, like, to really come home and watch Ed, watch that whole thing blow. And then just like you said, like, if this whole thing is, you have been able to take care of your family, take care of yourself off this thing called hip hop.
Yeah,
and
still doing it too.
Right, still doing it. And I'm definitely the same guy.
Yeah,
definitely the same.
So
guy.
after you leave Relativity, what do you decide to do, and why did you decide to walk away from Relativity as an intern?
Because it was an intern, and I think they were going through whatever they were going through, and then just real life kind of set in. I got more into street stuff and stuff like that, and that $200 every other week wasn't really cutting it.
Right.
And then other little side promo stuff, and I just say life, in that whole piece, because still was involved in the street, but still in the culture of everything else. Like, Pop, I skateboarded, I was in the clothes, definitely I was an MC myself,
right,
in it, like a host of all things. I had like the coolest quarter parties.
What is a quarter party?
That's like a Chicago thing. Like, I got the concept from my mother, but they used to have parties at the house and pay a quarter, and I guess it was to help pay rent.
Right.
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 So,
Rent parties.
Right. So I just took the concept, and I used to have cool quarter parties in high school.
Okay.
My mom would make tacos and things
And
like that.
you would sell the food? So was that the way?
But it was a quarter to get in.
Okay.
Quarter to get in the house. You know what I'm saying? So every time you came in and left, you had to drop a quarter.
Okay.
And so at the end of the night, we would have $60-$70 in quarters.
Right.
You know, whatever. I mean, but that's where I came from. And then just like, just other stuff, me hustling and whatever like that. I've been locked up. And when I came home from
How long were you locked up?
Like 6 months, man. Like nothing major. Like some weed. It's crazy.
Right.
Like weed is legal. Is legal now.
It's about to be legal. Hell yeah.
It's legal here in most parts or whatever. But just at the time, it wasn't. I was down in school down at in DeKalb, in that whole NIU Kishwaukee type thing or whatever. And yeah, and that was it. So sat down for that little time. Came home and got right into working for Tony Sports. Tony Sports was like the hub. It was the main mom and pop as far as fashion.
Okay.
In stores. So it broke Nietzsche, it broke Karl Kanai, and all these things like that. And then that was my whole thing of the fashion piece.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah, so you remember back in the days when the Nietzsche was hot, Karl Kanai. Karl Kanai was hot. I met Karl Kanai in L.A. On I think it was I was on La Brea, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, my name is Karl Kanai, and I got this fashion line, man." And he showed me a few things. I liked what he had on, so I was like, "That's you?" He's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "I got this apartment. I like to make some clothes for you." And I was like, "Okay, give me the address," and I rolled by. This is L.A.
Okay.
So I ride by. He has this like duplex apartment where he lives upstairs, his office upstairs, and downstairs he like 5 sewing machines. And he's designing upstairs, but he got the guys downstairs sewing his stuff. So he gave me a couple of outfits, and I took it back, and we wore it on Your MTV Raps. Karl Kanai, first time he had ever been on television, he'll tell you. We wore it on Your MTV Raps, and he was just starting to feed me stuff as the line grew, and then he did the deal with Cross Colors, and then I was just going to the warehouse getting what I wanted.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, Carl's always taking good care of me.
I met him years ago at one of the stores that I managed. It was a store called Halftime. A buddy of mine from East Coast, my man Prince from Queens, and he was here. He had family here, so he opened the store. And at the time, a buddy of ours who's the Adidas rep now, Greg was his man. And so he brought him through, and we had, Karl Kanai in the piece. And so definitely kept in contact. Well, me and Zoe actually introduced him to Emory.
Oh, wow.
Right, at one of the trade shows.
Oh, wow.
Right. We were talking to him like, man, boom, and he was asking what we were doing. He was like, man, we're here, we're doing this. I was like, oh, man, I've never met Emory. So got Emory. Boom, here y'all go.
Yeah, Karl Kanai is something quite special when you're talking about urban fashion, man. Like that dude. Yeah, open the door for. There's no Sean John. There's no Rockefeller. There's no Nietzsche. There's no Walker-Wear. There's none of that without Karl, man. Even Karl was so successful with what he was doing. No Cross Colors because he was before Cross Colors. He really kind of made Tommy Hilfiger change the way they were doing business. There's no Fat Farm. There's no There's none of that. There's no, whatever. I can't even remember the name of Nelly's clothing line. Vocal. Vocal. There's no Baby Fat.
Right. Well, apple bottoms.
No apple bottoms. No Esco. All of that stuff is because of Karl Kanai. Every last bit of it.
Shout out to Willie.
Yeah. Willie Esco. Big shout out to Willie. There's none of that. That's funny because every time I think of Willie Esco, I think of Jay-Z's line to Nas, "You're the fag for the Karl Kanai, Willie Esco ads." Yeah, right. I always think of that line.
That was fun. That was the best part of the dinner outside of the great food. Just being able to go back and forth with the culture thing, and the raps and everything, and your opinion on who's the best, and that we had fun.
Yeah, we did. We had a dinner after the Puma launch, and thank you to Puma, thank you to you at Steak 48 here in Chicago. And it's just all these tastemakers of fashion and in business. We all just sat around and talked music and talked hip hop, and you can always get a good argument. All you have to do is throw certain things on the table, and you're gonna get a good argument.
Jay-Z and Nas.
It's going to be an amazing argument.
Every time.
Biggie or Tupac, I didn't even want to throw that on the table because that would have been crazy.
Right. We probably would have got loud and maybe got kicked out of there. Right.
They would definitely threw us out of the space. So now you're doing certain things. You're in certain stores and you're working and managing stores. And when did you transition into really, really saying, okay, I'm going to do Dave Jeff stuff now?
Well, Tony Sports sold his stores.
Okay.
And so when he sold his stores, I mean,
hopefully for a profit.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
definitely,
good for him.
Definitely for a profit. He got out the business because he'd been in the same part. That was a good living, and that was a good thing for me to transition from, whatever the street thing that I had going on to come home and slang clothes to everyone. But Pop, we was making enough money just like people parents. I can $1,500, $2,000 a week.
Right.
Selling clothes, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Commission, this, that, and the other. When Tony sold his stores, like I said, my man was here from the East Coast, and we did a store called Halftime on 79th in Western. So it was Southwest or whatever. So it was still hood and everything, but his past caught up with him. People came and got him. So when people came and got him from whatever he was on East Coast-wise, I was just left, I was his right hand in managing the store, but definitely didn't have the finance for business at the time.
Okay.
So at the time, that's when I started the brand Fly. The cool thing about it was this was the beginning of these major brands taking awareness to the street and things. And so we had been going and had these conversations with PHLI at the time. So one of the heads of PHLI came and brought us gifts. And so he brought me a gift. It was like this big book of hip-hop photography. I forgot the photographer's name or whatever, but this is the time when people were taking the process of doing T-shirts was like the heat press, where you take the picture and you press it on your shirt or whatever.
Right.
So all I did was take these dope pictures that he gave me that were huge anyway, and then kind of put a brand to it. So that iconic picture of Biggie counting the money with the Coogee.
Right.
So in my mind, Biggie looked real fly. So that's why I put on there real and then the logo.
Right.
Slick Rick had on the seersucker suit with the big chains or whatever like that, so he was super fly.
Right.
Then there was a picture of Pac, and Pac had on camo, so camouflage has always been my thing. But he got the chain, but he was also kind of throwing the 5, so he was gangbanging, so that was a good thing in my mind at the time. So he was a fly thug. So these are images that I put on shirts or whatever, and that was just the kick of the brand. And so that was the flip of it. And then me being a sneakerhead, and this is what the store was, we had all these authentic shoes that still weren't in the States because my man had went over to Atmos in Japan, spent about $60,000-$70,000.
Shout out to Atmos.
Oh yeah, $67,000 over there, and got all the stuff shipped back here. So we had all the dope shoes on the wall and everything. And so I had every shoe. And so it just came. I took a picture of the shoe one time with a picture phone or something, and then one of my buddies named Punch, we came up like, man, we should put these on shirts. And so I booked a real photo shoot. Old guy we still work with, his name is Marley Levan now, took pictures of my shoes and put that shoes, the same process on the shirts. And so from there, that was that. But then still me knowing people in the industry, a buddy of mine got it and just saw one of the shirts. So it's an iconic picture that I have. I called it Box Game. So it was my collection of Nike boxes, Adidas boxes, but my handwriting on white ones, white highs.
Right.
Linen atmospheres, whatever. So we took a picture of that. And so the major brands have bidden it 100 times, but I did that image like in 2000.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a picture of the shoe boxes or whatever. And so that really started the Fly brand. When all that process went through, I sold the lease to the space that we were at on 79th to some of the Arab guys that had a store called JB's. So that was a big check. And then that just I was actually in liquidated the inventory that was in the store. So I had about $30,000-$40,000. When I had about $30,000-$40,000, that's when I started the Fly brand heavy and got a space over here in Hyde Park, which is known as the first Fly store, which is right where the cigar parking lot. The store was that.
Okay.
Because Harper Court used to be a little bin street. It didn't never go through.
Okay.
Right, and so it was a court right there, and that's where my store was for like 10, 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then when they did the rebuilding of it, I moved to 55th, like took on a partner just to go bigger. Just didn't work out with our partner, with my partner. No love lost or whatever. But we were there for like a year and a half. And I brought on that concept of the boutique, and then it was a barbershop in the store.
Okay.
And so like the parties in there, and the in stores in there, like the Wale's, the Rick Rosses, and everybody like this, because it was a dope space or whatever. And went from there to Lacuna Lost, to it was more showroom, and it was more open doors as far as like business, as far as me consulting.
Right.
Now I've established myself in the brand as this cultural architect of the brand. So now brands were coming at me like, well, man, if you could do this here, we'll do this. Can you do this for us? Or how can we do this and process? And that just kind of started that whole thing as far as like me consulting and being involved in other brands outside of me doing my own brand.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there that want to start brand. You hear it all the time. I got this clothing brand.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's always in my DM. Can you wear this T-shirt from my clothing brand? What advice would you give somebody that's trying to start a brand?
First I just want to say it's nothing that you can't do that ain't already been done.
That's true.
To a T-shirt, a hoodie,
right?
Nothing. So know that. So like you ain't changed the world on nothing. The thing is like start out with a brand that you're comfortable with, that definitely represents you, because at the end of the day, people are gonna rock the brand because they mess with you.
Right.
And so like that's one thing that I know in my success definitely early on was just that people were living vicariously through me.
Right.
In my travels, me hosting and this, that, and the other. Okay, so I can do this. Oh, he's from Chicago. He's from my space or whatever. Like, okay, Dave's pretty cool too, whatever. And so people were doing that. So I would just say like, find out what that brand is and who you are and what you represent, and stand on it, and just don't be scared to do those hand to hands. But even to go different nowadays, just because it's so many brands with just people doing T-shirt type stuff. Like get into the physical of it, get into the fabrics, get into the cut and sew, get into changing designs. Like if what is the saying, like don't change the wheel, don't break the wheel, whatever.
Can't reinvent the wheel, right?
But you can add to the wheel.
You can add to
it. So
right.
add to that wheel and go.
Yeah, because I keep telling people, just having a T-shirt with something printed on it does not mean you have a clothing line.
No, you got a T-shirt.
Yeah, T-shirt line.
That's a T-shirt line. Right.
You may have a T-shirt line,
right.
but you don't have a full all-out clothing line.
Right, and because that's a whole nother world. Like getting into fabric, to sourcing, to sizing, grading. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
why this fits this way, and and all those type of things. Like that's a whole nother science, and that's a whole nother money. This is just why you don't see a lot of independent shoe brands. Independent shoe brands is definitely not as simple as you going to print on a T-shirt. Those soles, the cup soles, like the molds for the soles are thousands of dollars a piece, and mind you got to go from 8 to 14 or 8 to 12. You know what I'm saying? So just think of that initial investment. But that's why you don't have a lot of independent shoe things, because that's an expensive process.
Yeah. Now you are a bona fide first-class sneakerhead.
All day long.
How did that happen?
Man, just being fresh, man.
You interviewed me. I told you how it happened for me. How I took it from one level to the next level. Yeah. What made me do it?
I mean, like I say, probably one, being in the street for a while, so you had loose money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So anything new, let me get that. Then 2, working in retail, that 10.5, let me get that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Owning my own stores, that 10.5, let me get that. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of started me hosting and being involved in the culture with sneaker pimps and being all over the country and other parts of the world for sneakers. Yeah, then you probably get a lot of stuff that comes your way, and then people make stuff for you. Like I've had 3 of my own shoes with Nike, Air Max Fly Air Max 90, a Fly Air Force 25, and then a Fly Air Force 1 that got lost, supposedly. I'm doing the air quotes or whatever. I only saw the picture in the sample, but never actually saw the shoes.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Never got the actual shoes. I was the first to be able to do a...
How tough is that, man? Because I know Puma has done it. Y'all call it Puma. Puma has done... Puma did the Yo TV Raps sneaker. But we just had the 30th anniversary of Yo TV Raps. And I always felt like Nike should have did a Yo TV Raps Air Force One for the 30-year anniversary.
Pop, what I've learned in the space, it's like...
and I pick Air Force One because I'm a big Air Force One nut.
Nut. Like I have them all. It's the people internally got to really understand what it really is.
Right, and how important it is.
And how important it is. And I think like not speaking on Nike's thing perspective, but I think like the culture of stuff is like a newer thing for them in the last whatever decade or something like that. Like I know people that were fired from Nike for doing what is the norm now.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? What is the norm now? Like, okay, let me get an Ed Lover shoe.
Right.
Because Ed Lover is this to the culture. You know,
right.
This is that and the other. Whatever. I know like the person that first put Wu-Tang on the shoe or whatever got really scolded for that at that time.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just saying the people in place at the time maybe didn't get it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the people probably at Puma at the time understood it more.
Yeah.
And what that was.
Right.
Like even when I got involved with them and we were doing like the first things here, I remember some of the conference calls are going back and forth. That's my vision of Puma, like the B Street movie and all that.
Yeah.
The beginning culture of it, whatever like this. Like how do we capture this and keep it moving forward? You know what I'm saying? Bring it to present day. But I just say to your question, Pop, like it's a process of people and marketing minds of people in it, and it just has to translate to what they have going on at the time.
Right.
So this, like I just say, was just divine when they brought that MTV thing to me, and then I know like you and I have been supposed to connect on things, and then it was just like, oh yeah, it was simple. Oh, let's just do an episode of Yo MTV Rap, but I know we can't really market and say Yo MTV Raps because of whatever.
Right.
But let's make it something else. But I can get an Ed Lover. He's in Chicago now.
Yeah.
You know, yada yada. Oh man, if you can do that, whatever. Okay, boom. Got in touch with Kay. Kay got in touch with you.
Yeah.
Easy, simple, because I got it. It made sense.
Yeah.
You know, and then boom, it turned into what it is. And I at the end of the day, what I've learned in it is still a business for a lot of them. It's all business, so not still a business with those companies, and they have so much other things going on. Like as cool as we are, as cool as Dave Jeff is, cool as Ed Lover is, cool as Fashion Geek Zoe and all these other things are. They got a million other things going on, and we are definitely not their priority.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Because we don't keep the lights on.
That's right.
Globally, and Puma is a global brand.
It's a global
Nike
brand.
is a global brand.
Yeah.
So I don't get mad, but this is why we keep doing what we do, and then they come.
But they gotta keep the fly element to it, and then Puma is back to having that fly element to their brand. Oh, yeah. To me, Nike went away from it. That when they had the Air Force One popping, they doing the Questlove Air Force One. They did the video music box Air Force One. They did the LeBron, the PlayStations, that whole Chamber of Fear run.
Yeah.
They had when they was doing it with the quick strikes and the hyper strikes on Air Force One.
Hyper strikes, right.
They had something going on.
Right.
You got the Easters, then they did the un-Easters, then they did another Easter, then they did the Halloweens, like then the St. Patrick's Day. Air Force Ones. What happened, because you're a collector, I'm a collector, we both know Clark Kent very well, the king of it, Fat Joe,
Mayor, all of them.
The Mayor, big shout out to Mayor, the Lennons, the joints that you couldn't hardly get. What do you think happened with Nike that they went away from Air Force One? Do you think it was the kids? Do you think it was the Jordan takeover?
I think the resale started to kill it, and then the resale started to kill it and the retail of it, because at the end of the day, as we talking business, my thing is the big boxes. I'm sure felt that they were losing out because, of XYZ resellers. Yeah, the kids will come get it here for $100, but if they had it and were lucky to get it, and they can sell it for $300-$400, whatever, then they wanted it, and then they like smashed down on the Nikes and the other brands to like, okay, well, we have to get this here first, whatever. And then once again, the big box got their own rules. Most of the big boxes are in malls, and then malls got rules for the big boxes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no camping out. There's no this, it's that, and the other, because it's the mall. So it kind of slowly was chipping at, the culture, just like chipping at like shutting it down in a sense. And then so probably you get tired of, if I can't get it, how many times I'm going to try to go get a shoe and I just can't go get it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm all right, well, let me go get something else.
Let me move
something
on.
else fresh. Well, that is fresh. Now I got to look at something else because I can't go get that anyway, because if I try to go get it, there's going to be a million people there and yada, 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 so.
Is there one shoe, specifically because I see your Air Force One collection like mine. Is there one Air Force One that you wanted that you couldn't get?
For a long time, at the first part, I couldn't get those linen and atmospheres. The khaki and pinks.
Yeah.
But when I got them, I got them.
Yeah. I still have one that I want.
What?
The Entourage.
Oh.
And that Vibe magazine. You remember the Vibe magazine? That Vibe magazine, Air Force One.
What color was the Vibe magazine?
Oh my God, I would have to look it up on my phone, but I never got my hands on that Vibe magazine, Air Force One.
No, and
or that Entourage.
I never got the clot Air Force Ones too that you could tear from the tear away. Like I know Mayor has a couple of them that they're seeing, but that linen in the atmosphere was definitely my grail at the time. Yeah, now I got like 2 or 3 of them.
That linen is still special, and I had the hat to match it, man.
No, and they redid them, and it has the butter soft and all.
Yeah. That linen is still a very special Air Force One. I remember
it's fresh.
It's stupid fresh. I remember when I first got my first pair of Easter Air Force One. I had my man Guy from 5001 Flavors in New York. I had him make me a polo shirt. That same color purple polo shirt, and he redid the egg. He did a broken egg. Like, oh my God, so fresh.
Here, like our Dapper Dan was J Boogie.
Okay.
Right? Like so old school J Boogie, whatever. And my man Dante from the fashion firm. So I did a suede polo, this suede like same thing polo too, but it was embossed with the logo in it that went right with the shoes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That went right with it, and I had this khaki and pink like jersey like that we did. Yeah, so like I say, once I got them, that was my fresh. I had to switch it up every time. You know what I'm saying?
Who was in Chicago was your sneaker competitor? When you was going hard on Air Force Ones like that?
Not really a lot of people.
Because you had the end like that?
Because I had the end. So like it wasn't fair, but it's like it's hella collectors like here that man.
You know who was my main competitor?
Ooh.
Fat Joe. I knew I could never touch Clark Kent. Yeah. That's impossible. Clark Kent was doing one a days on Instagram. He wear them once and then hide them in the city, and then you got to go find it.
The bridge at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, you got to go find where he put the sneaker. He still does that every now and then. But Clark used to hook me up a whole lot, and me and Joe used to go at it, bro. I remember the first time Fat Joe, and big shout out to Fat Joe, saw me in a pair of Terror Squads. I had a white pair of Terror Squads with the red TS on the side.
Okay.
He lost his fucking mind because he wouldn't give me a pair. A big shout out to Jay-Z because I tell you the story. I told you the story, and I'll tell y'all the story about going to the Yankee game with Jay-Z, thanks to Jesse Itler. And Jay asked me about my Hayes Dunks. And I'm sitting there going like, this dude got a Maybach outside. I got to walk 5 blocks to the parking lot to get my car. He's dating Beyonce, but I got a pair of sneakers that he doesn't have. So one Christmas, OG Juan, who's Jay's partner and close friend in the recording studio Baseline and in the 4040 Club, calls me out of the sky blue around Christmas and goes, yo, Eddie Mac, what size do you wear? I said, I'm a 10.5, 11. He said, come by the 4040 Club. Hove want me to give you something.
He the Rockefeller Air Force One.
All of them.
Yes. Oh, white and the black?
And the black albums.
Yes.
I have put the black albums on my feet, but I've never worn them outside.
Yeah. No, I've worn
The Gift and the Curse. He gave me 5 fucking pair of all the Rockefeller Air Force Ones.
Nah, you got to wear those, Pop. As Clark
I have.
As Clark would say, it's the leather and rubber, man.
That's right.
It's leather and rubber, man.
Cop and Crash.
The Cop and Crash. And it's crazy, like even now, like older, I probably have a whole room of fresh.
Right.
That I don't wear because I'm into comfort now. You know what I'm saying? And that's the one thing that I can say, like Puma has, like the comfort is crazy.
Yes, absolutely.
Those RS-x's.
Those RS-x's are crazy comfortable. And, you know, Puma blessed me and Dre with the Yo MTV Raps, Puma. You know, we had the Clyde. It was suede white with the multicolors and on the tab on the back, one says Ed, one says Dre. Over the swoosh, it says Ed Lover on one, Dr. Dre on the other one. Like, it's surreal to me that I had a shoe being one of the only cats that's a non-athlete to ever have their own shoe.
No, like, and when I got my first shoe with Nike, whatever, it once again was just so not easy, but effortlessly it happened as I think about it, because the guy who's a big head over there just saw like, okay, this young black boy, because I was one of the first African Americans that dealt with them in that boutique type level to even have the account.
Right.
That Black History shoe.
That
Black History shoe started in my store.
That's a hard. That was to be one of the toughest accounts to get.
Oh yeah. Well, no. I mean, I still didn't have a tier 0, but being in Chicago and there were no other boutiques at the time in that space, like we definitely got a lot of love. Like I say, like that Black History. Larry
For everybody
Harper,
that doesn't know what a tier 0 is, please explain it to them. As
like
far as
tier 0 with Nike at the time. I don't even know if it's called tier 0 now, but it was like these exclusive shoes. I think they have the Nike Labs now that have the tier 0 stuff, but it was just stuff that just really didn't exist, only for like 1 or 2 stores in the world, or maybe like 3 or 4 stores in the world. They're major markets here in Chicago. I mean, they're major markets in the States, and then a couple of stores globally only had these shoes. So if you had a tier 0 account, you were the ish.
right,
You know what I'm saying? That means everything came through to you. You had, man, like you had the lines. It was a guarantee your rent was paid.
right,
Right.
Because the shoe was crazy.
We didn't have a tier 0. We had like right under the tier 0 of the time, but I'm just saying we got a lot of love just because of being the first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
The power of black people in this country is sometimes so significant and beautiful
major.
and crazy that we don't know. Because do you remember when dudes were actually taking white on whites and making them whatever color,
whatever they wanted,
and Nike had to pay attention to it?
Yeah.
Because
or putting the material on the swoosh.
right.
Oh, these are the Gucci's.
These are the Gucci's. These are Louis Vuitton.
I got the Louis. Right.
Yeah,
right.
and then painting them different color, hand painting,
Right.
doing all kind of stuff to it.
Right.
And it was so crazy with the different colors and the different fabrics, and then putting mink on the swoosh and
Ooh, right.
and Louis Vuitton material and Gucci material and Burberry material and all of these different things, the freaking the sneakers. And that, man, I can't remember the 2 little dudes from New York that was going so they was painting for everybody. Damn, what were their names? But Nike ended up bringing them in-house.
I know who you're talking about.
They were like at the forefront of changing Air Force Ones into whatever. And then all of a sudden, the Hyper Strikes and the Quick Strikes and the colors start coming out and all the patent leathers and stuff. And then Nike did go build your own sneaker.
Well, you got the Nike IDs. And
Nike
stuff like
IDs,
that.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But even like let you go even harder. The bespokes.
Yeah.
Like we call Mayor right now. Mayor probably got 80 bespokes. Bespokes was damn near $900 a pair.
Explain to people what a bespoke is.
The bespoke was the higher tier of like ID at the time. Like, so ID was like, okay, you can just go on the computer, let me change this color, let me change this color here, or whatever, and it was better materials or whatever like that. Bespoke, nah, Pop, you broke it down. You had the stitch. The sole was the whatever color you wanted. The inside of the sole was whatever you wanted at the time. You could change the color. It was cowhide, suede, whatever. You could change the materials, and everything just outside of just color ups.
Right.
And so and they charged you $900 plus, and you had to have an appointment.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that was a special time, man.
But the special time, like when we was talking about when we got the big box for the Nike the Air Force 25.
Yeah. Oh my God, I still got that box.
Oh yeah.
It was just such a beautiful thing, and you and I and a couple of others was walking around Vegas with this big ass white box with 2 pairs. I never even wore that sneaker either.
No, I wore the one. I didn't wear the 25.
How about the Lux? Did you mess with that?
All day long. The white lows and the black highs. Like that was one of the first. Like I just saw a picture of my buddy's wedding, and we had on the black Lux.
Wow.
Right, we had on the black Lux.
And then the brown. The remember the ones they brought in with the snake skin and all of that stuff. Python on the side,
alligator or whatever.
The alligator joints, and they had them. The guy in Italy make them especially, and they only came in a white pair and a brown pair. Yeah, I remember Fab had the brown ones, and I had the white ones.
Fab,
yeah. Fab was big on the sneakers too, man.
All day long. I met Fab too. Like I probably can go a million stories. One of the All-Star games in Houston, and Clark was spinning. And I was there. We were all in the same hotel or whatever. Because I know Jazzy Jeff well too, and so we were able to get one of Jeff's over rooms or something, whatever he was booked with. And that we were there, and so the hotel we were in was connected to the Galleria.
Okay.
And so we're in the Galleria, and so I'm looking. We're at the Foot Locker or Foot Action or whatever it was, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we sold out, but we have more." So we just standing in the just common area, whatever. FedEx dude come in, whatever. I'm like, See that Memphis box. Followed the FedEx dude. Followed the FedEx dude in the foot action or whichever store it was or whatever. Dude saw that they came in and of course it was them or whatever. I bought like 18 pair, credit card, boom, whatever. Took them back to the hotel and was just selling them out the room.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like Clark was hitting people, telling them whatever. And so Fab came in. And what was Fab's manager at the time?
Nitty?
No, I forgot his name. It's a name like that. But he came in. I mean, whatever. So that was my first time meeting Fab way back then. Selling them some All-Star Air Force One.
Wow.
In Houston.
Yes, sir. I still got them joints, too.
Houston.
I still got them in the stats somewhere, my All-Star Air Force One. That's another thing Nike used to do all the time. Put them out, man. And you know what? The sneaker culture has grown so much over the years. All these conventions, all of these different things that's going down, man.
Have you done Complex Con or anything like that?
I'm going to do Complex Con this year.
When it comes here.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to do Complex Con.
So that's going to be a good thing. Puma, we got some good heat, too, for that.
Yeah, I know they do.
Oh, yeah, some good hit. My man, like Fashion Geek Zoe has a shoe or two.
Shout out to Fashion Geek Zoe, man.
Yes, sir. Coming out and some other pieces like a bag, a sock, and everything that they're doing specifically
through Puma.
Yeah, through Puma. Like he has so that whole story, like even with the shoe that he dropped that came out before, that was like the people's choice. It was a shoe that they were going to drop from his initial capsule, but because they were going to drop it, Zoe was like, "Man, can I post it?" And he posted it, and the joint went viral.
Wow.
So when it went viral, they kind of pushed the hand, like, "Oh man, we need to make it." And the shoe sold out. It was like 600-700 pair in the weekend.
Wow.
And line down the street, over at the spaces where we did the first release of it or whatever. And then they just did a second colorway of the shoe for Black History that came out. Once again, sold out in the weekend.
I need to talk to Fashion Geek Zoe to get my hands on them joints because I don't have them.
Oh, no, right. You're 11, so
okay.
I kind of know a guy that knows a guy.
Okay, all right.
But but then he has a whole capsule coming out like back to school. Yeah. So like we're what they call cultural partners. So we're part of Emory's team of cultural partners. So it's like myself, it's Fashion Geek Zoe, Sham God.
Okay.
Upscale Vandal.
Okay.
Is a gentleman named Alexander John from Atlanta. He's a dope customizer.
Okay.
Or whatever. So we're their cultural partners. So we're pushing.
What do y'all have planned? Because the All-Star Game is here in 2020.
Like us per se or Puma?
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely gonna do us because it's our city,
right?
Like I think Puma's definitely gonna back us in whatever energy we want to give out and go with it. But it's gonna be amazing, Pop. It's gonna be amazing. Just because the All-Star Game hasn't been here in so long, or whatever, it's gonna go hard, man. You're gonna see some dope product, dope apparel with it, and then
you got some fly special All-Star Game shit coming.
Definitely, like some manufacturer stuff that we're going, and some collabs with some of the other local brands that have heat too. And then I think Zoe has a shoe coming out for All-Star too that was just added to his capsule. Yeah. So it's gonna be
through
great.
Puma.
Through Puma.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that, man.
Puma, so it's gonna be great. Man.
I can't wait to see that. That's going to be fly, and that's the kind of stuff that people really love. You know, the exclusive, hard to get thing. Because you've been a sneakerhead long as I've been. It ain't nothing like rocking some shit nobody got.
People look at, hey, what's where you get them from?
Yeah,
where you get them from?
Yeah, where you get them from?
And honestly, Pop, that's what we've been getting with this Puma. Like the RS-x. When I first saw the RS-x, I'm like, man, that's a dope silhouette. And then now actually being involved with the brand and helping to push or whatever, like, and being able to see it from my business mind, like, that's their Air Max of sorts. You know what I'm saying?
And it's comfortable as hell, too.
Comfortable, too. And so it takes color well and everything. And so you're going to see a lot of that dopeness. But there's some other stuff coming, too. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, like, I'm just saying, I'm all about comfort now.
Yeah.
So we get comfort and Superfly. I'm good.
I need it. I need that. I need that in my life.
Like to the point, like so in 2020, like I'm doing our RS-x and that Ralph Sampson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ralph Sampson, basketball player. Ralph Sampson.
The Ralph Sampson is a low and a high. The low, oh my goodness, the low is a grown man fresh. Like the way it looks, is like crazy. I mean, the high is definitely dope too, but the low, I've just fallen in love with the low. super buttery material. I mean,
so we can expect all of this stuff coming from Puma.
Yeah.
So my man Emery and Jay just over there,
the banging, like, look,
banging
gang bang,
yeah,
gang bang, let's go. Like,
yeah. Because when I went
culture.
to see the concert when they were here at Soldier Field here in Chicago, every time Jay came out casual, he had that Puma on. He's rocking that straight Puma.
Man, I mean, Pop Jay is a businessman, man.
Yes, he is.
And M is the business goon. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in all a good way. It's just like I love to be able to be part of M's team, to watch him working and see him handle the business and how he moves. But it's simple too. His whole thing is, one, bet on yourself. So that's something I stand in and believe on. Like, definitely believe in yourself.
Right.
If you don't believe in yourself, who else gonna believe?
That's right. You can forget about it.
You can forget about it. But then just like, don't overthink stuff, Pop. Don't overthink it, because like sometimes we get in our own way overthinking stuff.
Right.
You know, and then I just love it. It's a great time.
Yes, sir, bro. Thank you for coming in and doing the podcast, man. I appreciate it. Dave Jeff, man.
Thank you.
Right here in Chicago, doing big things with the Puma brand, with his own Fly brand, with everything that he's doing here in Chicago. You know, I always like y'all to know who people are, because there are more things that you can do in your life besides being the rapper.
All day.
And make more money.
And make more money, exactly.
And make more money.
Oh, yeah.
Because the rappers got to come to somebody to get their clothes, and the rappers need somebody for transportation, and the rappers need some security company besides their homeboys. They learn that real quick, don't they?
Real quick, right.
And the rappers need somewhere to live, and all of this stuff. So you don't think these jewelers are making a mint off these rappers?
They need somebody sometime to just handle business.
Proper business.
Let them be the artists.
Right, because when they first come out, it's homeboy,
right.
And then they find out the hard way that you got to cut off a lot of that fucking fat, and you can't take people everywhere, and you need somebody to handle your business. Like, big shout out to my man, Brother Hassan, who does all the road managing stuff for A Boogie with the hoodie.
Okay, yeah.
He could have easily said, no, my man gonna do that.
No, and he's a good dude too. Like,
smart as fuck.
Can I just share a quick story?
Sure.
Before we go, we were going back and forth with the being able to have access to the HOB.
Right.
And it was about like the filming of it, whatever. So like I did a pregame of the A Boogie thing to lead there. Excuse me. So I guess the people at the House of Blues just thought like it was gonna be some big film production, this, that, and the other, whatever. And so they just sent back this email with all of us like, oh man, we need $2 million this, of whatever if you do this, like insurance and all that, whatever. And so Hassan calls me in the thing, first time us talking, but you need a Hassan is my whole point to this, because Hassan, like, we all understand that things get lost in translation sometimes, right, in texts and emails, but for him to call me to, like, he man after my own heart, because he was like, hey, excuse me, Dave, just tell these people that it's not that. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't understand this, but tell them this and make it clear for them. You know what I'm saying? So we can just get what we need done. So one, that just showed me he's on his business.
Yes, sir.
Two, he understands and well enough to know, like, well, let me get off this email. Let me call his brother. Let's get an understanding of his brother. And we got exactly done what we needed done, because the people at the HOB didn't know exactly what we needed.
Right.
Or thought it was something major when it really wasn't major. But you need a translator, and that's what Hassan
Absolutely.
is. That's what Hassan is.
That's probably my phone. Don't worry about it.
And that's what Hassan is, and I know was in that instance the perfect translator.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the same.
And
thing.
he makes the shit happen.
That's the same thing I would have did. So let me call this other guy. Like, listen, just tell them, get them to understand what it's about, so we can get done what we need done. And you need a guy like that in handling your business.
Yeah, big shout out to Brother Hassan, man. And big shout out to you once again, Dave Jeff, for being in the building with us, man.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me, man. Follow me at on the social handle at Dave Jeff, DaveJeff. And for the gear, man, it's flyworldwide.com. It's PHLI worldwide.com.
And I look forward to working with you more in the future and doing a lot of big things.
For sure, Pop. We definitely gonna do that. Like, we got to do something for the fest this year.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like come up there, say do Ed.
We're going to do it.
Yes, sir.
We're going to do it. It's Come On Son, the podcast, of course. Thank you to Krista for doing all what she does, and Kimana and Loudspeaker Network and everybody, man. Make sure you check
Krista
out
back there gangbanging on the board.
all of us, everybody that's on the Loudspeaker Network, man. Make sure you check out all the shows, man. We the best podcast thing going, man. Y'all keep God first. Everything else will fall into place. I'll talk at you, with you, to you, and about your ass definitely next Monday. God bless each and every one of y'all. And as usual, come on, son. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. I'm gone. Come on, son. This Ed Lover podcast is being done in conjunction with Cigars International. Make sure you check out cigarsinternational.com for all your cigar needs.
This episode of Come On Son, the podcast, is produced and engineered by co-executive producers Krista Hayes and Kimana Paulus in downtown Chicago. This is an official Loudspeakers Network podcast.